I fed my garden pulverized rice. You won't believe what happened to the soil. As gardeners, we're always on the lookout for the next natural booster that will awaken our soil and give our plants that extra push. Compost, tried it. Manure, of course. Kitchen scraps, every week. But then curiosity struck. I had a bag of old rice that no one was going to eat. Instead of tossing it, I decided to pulverize it into a fine powder and feed it to my garden soil. What happened next was not what I expected, and honestly, it shocked me. Let me take you through the process, the transformation, and the surprising lessons I learned along the way, because this simple trick may change the way you feed your soil forever. Why rice? The nutrient potential hidden in a staple food. Rice is rich in starch, small amounts of phosphorus, traces of nitrogen, and even a bit of silica, which strengthens plant cell walls. When pulverized into a fine powder, these nutrients become more accessible to microbes, and that's where the magic begins. Raw rice tossed into soil breaks down slowly and can even attract pests, but pulverized rice? Entirely different story. By grinding it, you're not feeding the plants directly. You're feeding the microbial life that fuels your soil's ecosystem, and as any experienced gardener knows, healthy soil life equals thriving plants. So, instead of just dumping it randomly, I treated pulverized rice like I would a soil activator. Here's exactly how I applied it. I sprinkled a light dusting, just enough to disappear into the top layer of soil. Not cups or handfuls, just a thin veil. I watered it in, not heavily, but enough to help it settle and start dissolving into the soil surface. And I left part of the garden untreated for comparison. Within just a few days, I began to notice something unexpected. Alright, so, the first surprise was a microbial bloom. At first glance I panicked. The soil began to grow a white fuzzy layer, almost like mold. Any gardener who has dealt with fungus knows that sinking feeling. Did I just ruin my soil? But before jumping to conclusions, I did what every soil lover should do. I observed closely. The white fuzz wasn't harmful fungal overgrowth, it was actinomycetes, a powerful group of beneficial microorganisms responsible for breaking down organic matter and releasing nutrients slowly into the soil. These are the same organisms responsible for that sweet, earthy forest soil smell. That's when it hit me. The rice powder had triggered a microbial feeding frenzy. By week 2, I started noticing subtle but visible differences. The treated soil looked darker, more crumbly, and alive compared to the drier, compacted control section. My leafy greens, especially the kale and spinach, developed a deeper green tint without any other fertilizer added. New growth appeared faster than usual, and even seedlings seemed to establish roots quicker in the treated area. The soil retained moisture longer, which is, honestly, incredibly valuable during hot spells, or for gardeners in dry regions. It was clear. I hadn't fed the plants, I had supercharged the soil life, and that life in return began feeding the plants naturally. Here's what happened beneath the surface. Pulverized rice, being high in starch, acted like an instant food source for soil microbes. Think of it as giving your soil life a high-energy breakfast. The microbes exploded in population, worked overtime, and in doing so, they broke down organic matter faster, released nitrogen, phosphorus, and trace minerals locked in the soil, created natural growth hormones through microbial interactions, and improved soil structure, making it more aerated and moisture retentive. So, while some gardeners chase fertilizers, I realized something pretty profound. If you feed the soil life first, everything else just, follows naturally. But, let's be honest, there are risks if this is done wrong. This experiment worked because I used moderation, but if someone dumps cups of rice powder into their garden, here's what can go wrong. Too much starch can cause anaerobic rot, leading to foul-smelling soil and root stress. It can attract pests like ants or even rodents if it's not watered in or buried lightly. And overfeeding microbes all at once can temporarily lock up nitrogen, a process called nitrogen drawdown, leaving plants looking pale for a short time. The key is light, controlled application, a dusting, not a dumping. So, who should try this? Well, this technique is especially powerful for gardeners who have tired or lifeless soil that really needs a biological spark. If you want to reduce your reliance on commercial fertilizers, or if you practice organic, natural gardening and value microbial life, this is for you. And hey, if you just love experimenting and observing soil reactions like a true soil alchemist, you'll probably have a blast with this method. If your soil feels, kind of dead or compacted, this trick could honestly be the wake-up call it needs. Here's a bonus tip to boost it even more. For an even more powerful microbial jumpstart, try mixing your pulverized rice with a handful of finished compost or worm castings to introduce more microbes. You can also add a splash of diluted molasses water. Totally optional, but it really does amplify microbial feeding. And don't forget to add a light mulch on top to help protect moisture and keep all that microbial activity going strong. This combination creates a mini fermentation layer right in your soil. Gardeners who understand the power of biology will appreciate just how transformative that can be. Absolutely, with just a handful of pulverized rice, I witnessed visibly healthier soil, faster plant response without any commercial fertilizer, increased biological activity and moisture retention, and a renewed connection with the living soil beneath my feet. It reminded me that gardening isn't just about adding nutrients, it's about nurturing life support systems beneath the surface. When you feed that unseen world, it gives back more than you expect. Would I do it again? Absolutely, without hesitation, but always in small, thoughtful applications. This isn't a replacement for compost or good soil practices, it's more like a trigger, a nudge to encourage microbial life to wake up and get to work. And, when the soil food web comes alive, every gardener can really feel it. Here's a final thought. If you've got rice in your kitchen right now, don't just look at it as food for humans. With a little creativity, it becomes fuel for soil life. And that, my fellow gardeners, is where real plant health truly begins. Love this experiment? Want more soil secrets and natural hacks? Make sure to subscribe to Soilsage Chronicles and, hey, share this with a gardener who needs to see it. Together, let's bring our soil back to life, one tiny experiment at a time.